the Guana family, we're building a house for them right now, are just a blast. And they made that video a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to start off so you could see it and see what one of our families looks like. So, we'll talk about the lesson today and our shared mission and ministry with First Lutheran in Orchard. It's kind of hard to not just digress into stories, old stories of First Lutheran Church, because as Pastor Little Adrian and Big Daryl said today, I grew up here. So I was confirmed here. My wife was confirmed here. We got married here. All three of our kids, who are all adults, went to Noah's Ark Preschool. I went to youth group, and every Wednesday night out at Leonard and Leos Paulson's house. And most of you don't know that because you're all new to me. So I was doing the math this morning as I was driving over here, and my dad actually took a call to be the pastor here at First Lutheran when he was 15 years younger than I am now. So for all of those that were around then, you're all old now. and there's something real comforting about that. There's something real comforting about the place you grew up. When I, this section of the church wasn't even here back then, but it feels like home. And there are things that are the same and things that are a little different. The pews are pointed a little different this morning. I hear that's an adjustment for y'all. I saw in the bulletin that Home Friendship is on Tuesdays now. What's the world coming to? It's changed. I thought Home Friendship was on Fridays, but we accept all that change with grace. Grace, and our response to grace is the ministry of Habitat for Humanity, directly related to this church here. When Habitat for Humanity in Kitsap County started a little over 21 years ago, there were actually two different habitats in the county, South Kitsap and North Kitsap. Started roughly about the same time, merged a few years later, but there were people at this church that were intimately involved in the beginning of Habitat for Humanity. Thank you. Since that time, Habitat for Humanity has built 73 homes in Kitsap County. Good grief, don't tell my dad you guys clap in church. For the old timers, you know how much that I like it that you clap in church. And that ministry started here. It's continuing here. One of the sons of First Lutheran here, Gary Neighbors, is on our board. Several of you volunteer with Habitat over the years, and you come to our annual dinners and support us financially. In fact, our annual dinner is coming up next Saturday, and Adam, our volunteer coordinator, is in the back. Want to get tickets from him, you still can. So, but it's that grace. It's that grace that comes out of First Lutheran Church. So. That grace that we fall and find comfort in. I'm going to keep telling old stories here. One of my daughters, who's 23 now, a second grade teacher is sitting right there. I keep catching faces. I saw my high school crush sitting in the back of the church. So it throws me off. And I won't embarrass her and say her name or anything, but she has something to do with Noah's Ark Preschool. So anyway, I'll try and stay focused. The lesson today has two parts. There are two parts to the lesson today, and I want to talk about doing what is right, nurturing, helpful, and beneficial for the people that we serve, whether they deserve it or not. The two-part lesson, first part is, let's get off the judgmental and punishment stuff. It doesn't fit with grace. And then hurry up, because I gotta die. So the first part of the lesson is really about stopping that judgmental stuff. Jesus had set his face on Jerusalem. He knew where he was going, and he was focused. And he went through Samaria. Now, as if you know your history about Samaria, the Samaritans and the Jews didn't get along so well. The Samaritans were Jews, but they were dirty Jews because they had intermarried. So most Jews on their way, most of the pure Jews on their way to Jerusalem went by the north route and didn't go through Samaria because they weren't really welcomed well. But Jesus set his face on Jerusalem and went the direct route, even when it wasn't comfortable. I mean, comparing that comfort to the cross, it probably wasn't that difficult. But so they weren't welcome in a particular village. And James and John wanted to throw down judgment. How dare that village? How dare those people not give Jesus Christ, the Son of God, his due? They wanted to throw down. But Jesus was pretty clear. He declined. He rebuked them. No violence, no punishment for being unworthy, no more. It's the message of the grace of Jesus Christ, the death on the cross. I'm taking your sin, and there's nothing you can possibly do to deserve it. It's grace. All the judgment, all the hate, there's no litmus test. You don't have to be the perfect Jew. You can be a dirty Jew or not a Jew at all. There's no litmus test for walking through that door right there. And this church has a long history of that, thank you. But there is no litmus test for walking through that door. Everybody is allowed to walk through that door, come in here, and experience the grace of Jesus Christ. In the church, we talk about why fewer and fewer people are coming to church on Sunday. I would propose that the face and perception of Christianity has become one of hatred and judgment in some circles, in a lot of circles. Jesus told us to love one another, no caveats, just love. But the term evangelical church, Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the term evangelical church has actually, in many circles, become a symbol of hate and anger. And I would propose that the mission of being evangelical is to spread love, acceptance, welcoming, the love of Jesus. So the first part of the lesson is to stop the judgmental junk. Then the second part of the lesson is that urgent call. Hurry up, because I gotta die. Jesus had to go straight through Samaria because he's on a mission. And that mission is urgent today. And it was urgent 20 years ago when Habitat was started. And it was urgent, how old is First Lutheran? 75, 76, 80, 100, depending on how old you go in church. That mission, that sense of urgency is there just as urgent today as it was then. Sometimes there isn't time to contemplate or perseverate or get analysis paralysis. There's an urgent call, there's an urgent need out there. Somebody needs God's grace. And we don't have time to wait, we don't have time to think about it. The call of Jesus is to grace, doing what is right, helpful, and nurturing, whether they deserve it or not. And there's a lot of people that need it. Me. I'll tell you what, I don't deserve it. I do not deserve the grace of God. You know how I know I don't deserve the grace of God? Because I've sinned. And I'm going to do it again. Lots of times I even have trouble figuring out what's sinful. But the grace of God is there for me. And you don't deserve it either. You see it? The man who got messed up on meth and screwed up his family and screwed up his job and screwed up his health, he certainly doesn't deserve it, right? He doesn't deserve the grace. Certainly, somebody living an immoral life doesn't deserve the grace of God. Me, you know, we all fall short. But you know what? The grace of God is there. We certainly don't deserve it, but we are called to live out the grace of God. We're called to do what is right, beneficial, helpful, nurturing for people, each other, whether we deserve it or not. What does this have to do with Habitat for Humanity? Well, I would propose that Habitat for Humanity is one of the responses of the church, of the outpouring of grace. We aren't commanded to be part of Habitat for Humanity. We aren't commanded to do a lot of things that we do out of our response to God's grace. There's opportunity right here, right now. Habitat's mission, in partnership with God and people everywhere, Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County develops communities with people in need by building decent and affordable housing in which families can live and grow into all that God intended. Every single person deserves a safe, decent, and affordable home. That's it. It's pretty simple. Now, there are all kinds of cool things that happen in Habitat homes. You know, Habitat for Humanity, we build these simple, decent, affordable houses with families. We help them build it together. The requirement is that the family puts in at least 500 hours of volunteer hours with the volunteers building the home. That they're required to put so many hours in somebody else's house. This particular family, the Little family we just saw, they've already put in 1,300 hours. You know, everybody goes way beyond that. But there's all kinds of cool things that happen in a Habitat house. Kids that grow up in decent, safe homes do better in school. People live longer when they live in safe, decent places. They live healthier, there's less abuse, on and on and on and on. But the basic thing is that everyone should have a safe, decent, and affordable home. So, what do we do about that? Well, First Lutheran helped start Habitat for Humanity over 20 years ago. Pretty cool. You've helped 73 families be in decent and affordable homes. There are kids that are adults now that grew up in a safe home because of you. So thank you on their behalf. It's pretty cool. And I want you to keep up. So we're starting a new neighborhood right up the road here. It's called Harris Court. It's on Harris between London and Salmonberry. There's going to be 32 homes built there just right up the road. Whole new neighborhood because of what you guys have done here. All the infrastructure is in, the roads are in, the sidewalks are in. We expect to break ground on the first house probably come December. I know some of you are regular volunteers. Those that aren't, you know, you can build every Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday in a Habitat home. And it's a lot of fun. You're working side by side, helping these people build their homes. Some cool things about Habitat is the 10th largest home builder in the nation. You know, we're like all Lutherans. We don't go around shouting and hooting and hollering about ourselves. We just go around doing good work. But 10th largest home builder, and actually the largest green builder in the United States. Habitat for Humanity is. There's all of these homes up here are going to have solar panels on the roofs. We build simple, decent, and affordable homes. We came to the green thing by accident. We didn't even know that we were the largest green builder in the nation until we read it in an article in a newspaper and a magazine. Because for a long time, we have been trying to make our homes affordable forever. Not just when they first move in, but forever. And so that means energy efficient, all of that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of things you can do with Habitat. You can volunteer, you can come to our dinner next week. Adam can get you tickets. I'd like to see you all there. Actually, some of you already bought tickets. We'll see you there. But you'll get something out of it. Now, I hesitate to say that because grace is doing what's right and beneficial, helpful, nurturing, whether they deserve it or not. But you get something out of being part of Habitat. I'll tell you about Abdullah. So we had a house blessing. Excuse me, had a house blessing. It's been about 6 months ago. It's a Kurdish family. Abdullah was a little boy. And I have no idea what the story is of how they got to the United States and what their situation was like in Kurdistan, but we can probably guess that it probably wasn't very cool, and they probably left because it wasn't pretty cool, and they weren't living in a very cool place here, but they became a Habitat family. And little Abdullah, he's 3.5 now, I think. Maybe he's probably 4 now. He actually kind of looks like my son a little bit. A little bit isn't a lot. He's got those dog's ears that stick out. He's got big brown eyes like my son did, my son's 20 now. My son did, Daryl the third, by the way. He's got big brown eyes and brown hair, and he looks a lot like him. He's good looking like his mom, thank goodness. I kept trying to connect with Abdullah all during this house build because I just think he is adorable. And he is so shy. And I'd try and talk to him, and he'd hide behind his dad or his mom, and I'd wave at him, and whenever I was on the side, I'd talk to him, and he just was embarrassed to death by my attention. Well, so we had this house blessing, blessed the house. It's a pretty cool event, hand over the keys and hand them their Bible and all of that sort of stuff. And after all the crowds are gone and I'm walking through the homes, and as I'm talking to Abdullah's dad and mom, as I'm getting ready to go, little Abdullah, who'd been standing behind his dad hiding again, comes running up to me with his hand up, his head down, his hand up, and to shake my hand, and I shook his hand, and he said, "Thank you for my room," and then turned around. That's the kind of grace you're going to find on a Habitat job site. So, I'd like to invite you to continue in ministry with Habitat for Humanity. I think you'll find grace. You don't deserve it. Neither do I. But it's there just the same. And so may the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds on Jesus Christ.